Hello friends, how are you doing? And I hope you really are having a great time. I hope you did revise the the thing and the subject, the chapter, the plant kingdom, and now we'll solve some questions from the NEET pattern, right? An alga which can be employed as a food for human being. Yes, alga, these algae are used as food. They are, in fact, they are very proteinaceous, very much proteinaceous, employed as food for the human being. The answer for this is chlorella. Okay, the answer for this is chlorella. So we will see that chlorella is employed, right? Chlorella is employed as a food for chlorella is employed as a food for human beings, right? It is highly proteinaceous. It is highly proteinaceous. They say, yes, come on, you need to be active. Proteins, ask the gym people the importance of this, and they'll tell you how much important is the proteins. Okay, 45% proteins, 20% carbohydrates, 20% fat, 5% minerals. Yes, here is a diet chart for you. 45% protein, 20% carbohydrate, 20% fat, 5% minerals, and this is, so today when you go back to your home, or go back to your mom after this session, go back to mom and say, I want chlorella in my food, and tell why, because 45% protein is there in the food, and let's see what she answers you back. Okay, right, you will remember chlorella, such good gestures of reading, you will understand the word chlorella. So an alga which can be employed as a food for human being, jokes apart, is chlorella. Okay. Right, next question. Yes, besides the paddy field, cyanobacteria are also found inside the vegetative part of paddy fields. Yes, beside the paddy field, cyanobacteria, we all know this is the blue green algae, right? The cyanobacteria, the blue green algae, and these will be found in the coralloid roots. And here you see, generally the blue green algae, they have the chlorophyll pigment, and they have a phototrophic nutrition, that is, they can manufacture their own food. But here, when they are found in the coralloid roots of cycas, they exhibit the chemoheterotrophic nutrition, that is, they cannot manufacture their own food, and hence they are symbionts here. They are in symbiotic relationship over here, and hence we should know this. Okay, so the cyanobacteria, right, the cyanobacteria, right, blue green algae, right, the cyanobacteria blue green algae are okay, are having the chlorophyll, they are having the chlorophyll, okay, they are having the chlorophyll, and hence they are phototrophs. This is the second question we are doing, right? And hence they are phototrophs. But in the coralloid roots of the cycas, but in the coralloid roots of cycas, where they are also found, where they are also found where they are also found these exhibit okay. So, the cyanobacteria blue green algae are having the chlorophyll and hence they are phototrophs, but in the coralloid roots of the cycas where they are also found, these exhibit chemoheterotropism. Chemoheterotropism, and they are in a symbiotic relationship okay, and are in a symbiotic relationship. Absolutely perfect. Where were we? I think I didn't find you before this. Okay. Okay. We move on to the next question. Select the wrong statement. Yes, we are here to select wrong people, isn't it? Isogametes are similar in structure, function and behavior. Absolutely perfect. Isogametes, the word iso itself tells you a lot about the nature of these gametes, that these will be morphologically similar, these will be structurally similar, function similar, behavior similar, right. And isogametes opposite, absolutely opposite, right, either differ either in structure, morphology, function or the behavior, right. Oomycetes female gamete is smaller and motile, while the male gamete is larger and non-motile. Absolutely wrong. So, you know this is a wrong statement and hence the answer for this will be C. Chlamydomonas exhibits both isogamy and anisogamy, and fucus shows oogamy, right. So, let us talk about what is oomycetes. In oomycetes, the female gamete, right, the female gamete is larger, right. In oomycetes, the female gamete is larger and non-motile, right, while the male gamete is smaller and motile, right, while the male gamete is smaller and motile. That is what, you know, they have asked this also many times, while the male gamete is smaller and motile. So, the option which is, you know, the answer will be C, which is a wrong statement over here, right. Compared with the gametophytes of the bryophyte, the gametophyte of vascular plants tends to be, right. So, compared with the gametophyte of the bryophytes, the gametophyte of the vascular plants. So, you know, when we are talking about, you know, the ecological succession, or when we talk about, you know, the evolutionary relationship, we see, you know, the bryophytes are the first to come, right, the bryophytes. Then we see the pteridophytes, the gymnosperms, the one with the naked seeds, and the angiosperms, and in further angiosperms we have the monocot and the dicotyledons. These are the flowering plants. Now, as we move from the bryophyte to the angiosperm, we will see that what the you see there will be plant generation altering in them. We will see that the sporophytic generation will be more predominant towards the angiosperm, okay, and the gametophyte generation will reduce, and the gametophyte will be more pronounced towards the bryophytic generation, okay. So, what we will see as we move towards the more developing plants, the more developing plants in the evolutionary trend right. So, as we move towards the more developing plants in the evolutionary trend, the sporophyte generation will be more predominant, okay. So, as we move towards the more developing plants in the evolutionary trend, the sporophyte generation will be more predominant as compared to the gametophyte. The gametophyte will be more predominant in the earlier, that is the bryophyte, pteridophyte, in these, the sporophyte will be more predominant. So, what we see, compared with the gametophyte of the bryophyte, the gametophyte of the vascular plants tends to be smaller and hence to have smaller sex organ, because they are diminishing, okay, they are diminishing. And vascular plants, definitely these vascular plants will be more, the tracheophytes they are called as, the tracheophytes, okay, these are more developed plants, right. The answer will be C, right. So, when we are talking about the evolutionary trend, I think I did not mention about the pteridophyta, it was thallophyta, okay. The bryophyta, I did not mention about the thallophyta, I think, right, the pteridophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperm, okay, gymnosperm and angiosperm, right. So, let us move to the next question. Algae have cell wall made up of, right. So, algae have cell wall made of what? Made of cellulose, galactan and mannan, right. So, the algae have cell wall made up of cellulose, galactan and mannan, and hence this will be the correct option for this. The different nature of the polysaccharide present in the cell wall of the algae has helped in the algal taxonomy, okay. So, what we can say, the different types of polysaccharide, present in the cell wall So, the different types of polysaccharide present in the cell wall of algae has helped in the algal taxonomy, right, has helped in algal taxonomy. That is, it has helped in, in the namings of these algae, the different types of polysaccharides which will be found there. Okay. We now move on to the next question. Which of the following propagates through the leaf tip? Looking at this, a very common and favorite question of examiners, the walking fern called the adancium. Yes, it walks, it tends to bend and its leaf tip touches the ground, and the moment the leaf tip touches the ground, the adventitious roots develop. And even the leaves will form, and it walks and walks by that method. Yes. The walking fern called adancium, IDANTUM, propagates by its leaf tip. Okay, propagates by its leaf tip touching the ground. Where adventitious roots develop, where adventitious roots develop. The walking fern adancium propagates by its leaf tip, touching the ground where the adventitious roots develop, and also the leaves form, So, which of the following which one of the following propagates through the leaf tip? And it will be the walking fern, adancium, right. Moving on to the next question. Which one of the following is a living fossil? Now, this cycas belongs to cycladales. The group of this gymnosperm, this predominated in the Mesozoic era. And the cycas is one of the still living members of that previously existing predominating member, the group the cycladales, and hence we say that cycas is a living fossil, right. Cycas belong to cycladales, which dominated during the Mesozoic era. during the Mesozoic era. However, some members of it, right? However, some members of it like cycas are still prevalent and hence called as the living fossil, and hence called as living fossil. Right. So, some members of it like the cycas are still prevalent and hence called as the living fossil, that is the cycas. Right. Now, let us move to the next question. The bryophytes are dependent on water. Now, the bryophytes, okay, the Thallophyta, the Bryophyta, these bryophytes, they were still prevalent. These were found on land as well as water. But during this, the reproductive phase of the cycle, what happens? These bryophytes, their spermatozoids, right? Their sperms needed to swim in order to reach the archegonium, and hence they required water. So, what we will see, what is essential for fertilization for the homosporous nature, what is essential for the vegetative propagation. The sperms can easily reach up to the egg in the archegonium, which an anaerobic archegonium has to remain filled with water for fertilization, right. So, what we can see, water, because water is essential for the fertilization for the homosporous nature. This can be also right. Water is essential for the vegetative propagation as well, right. Bryophytes are found both on land as well as in water. But they require water, okay, but they require water, right, but they require water so that the male gametes can swim and reach the archegonium, right. The bryophytes are found both on land as in water, but mostly in water, and but what we will see, they will require water for the male gametes to then swim and reach the archegonium, that is for fertilization they will be requiring, and what is essential for fertilization for their homosporous nature, right. Even the vegetative propagation is right to a certain extent, but not completely. The brown algae is characterized by the presence of which pigment? Right. The brown algae will be having what? Chlorophyll A and fucoxanthin, right. Brown algae has what? Chlorophyll A and fucoxanthin. right. Brown algae has chlorophyll A and fucoxanthin, and hence we will see that yes, the brown algae is characterized by the presence of the fucoxanthin. It is this fucoxanthin which will give the brown algae its characteristic color. This pigment will give the algae its characteristic brown color. Okay. So, this pigment will give the algae its characteristic brown color. Okay. Similar, you know, the chlorophyll, the Chlorophyceae, right, the brown algae, okay, the Chlorophyceae, which are the green algae, they will be having the chlorophyll pigment. Then the red algae, the Rhodophyceae, okay, they will be having mainly the phycoerythrin pigment, and you know, these brown algae, right, these you know, yes, you know, these will be having the fucoxanthin, right. The agar is commercially obtained from, right. The agar is commercially obtained from, you know, the red algae, mostly the Gracilaria and the Gelidium, right. Agar is mostly obtained from the red algae, right, Gracilaria and Gelidium. Also we will see, you know, that agar is used as, you know, it is a lubricant, is used as thickening agent in, you know, in many industries. So, agar finds extensive application okay, agar finds extensive application in the thickening of products. Right, it is used, you know, to increase the viscosity, the agar which is obtained from the red algae, Gracilaria, Gelidium. Okay, so the option over here will be the red algae. Right. So friends, with this we have come to the end of the 10 questions in this session. Hope it was interactive. Any doubts you can always get back to me, and the time we meet again, a very goodbye from this side. Thank you.